Welcome to MacGyver's Workshop, where you never know what we're going to be working on next. If you're not too careful, you just might learn something.
Well, hi there. And no, this is not the ASAP Automotive channel, though I am wearing the shirt that my son was so kind enough to give to me. It's a little homage to his channel. And definitely stock is not an option, only he says that a lot better than I do. So today we're going to unbox the rotisserie. Yes, it finally came here yesterday, and of course Mondays are crazy at my work, so I was lucky enough to make it to the freight terminal to pick it up. So, and it was raining like God, it was crazy yesterday. So a little better today, and we'll get the thing over here and get it unboxed and start putting it together. Wow, I feel like the dad in the movie A Christmas Story. You know, could be anything in there. And fragile. Is that Italian? It is remarkably like the the crate from the movie A Christmas Story. Alrighty. There's a whole lot of parts in here. So we're going to have to get everything offloaded out of here and then get this truck out of here so I can set this thing up. Alright, so of course, don't get me wrong, I'm excited to have this rotisserie, and it's a heck of a bargain for what all you get. And from looking at it, it looks like it's pretty well put together. It's pretty hefty. So I'm certainly not going to worry about having this truck frame on here or the cab or whatever. Now, one of the things that I noticed in the reviews was they said that the manual is pretty useless when it comes to putting it together. However, don't just chuck this thing in the trash and go to the video, because this does have some useful information on it with regard to how to set the vehicle on it, you know, how you can put your vehicle on it when you don't have a lift like I have, you know, stuff like that. So don't rule this out completely. It does have some useful information. It's just useless as far as putting the thing together. But as far as MacGyvers go, it has the exploded view diagram in the back, which is pretty much all I would normally need. But for the purposes of this video and setting a good example, we will follow along with the setup video that Derek Weaver was kind enough to provide. Okay, we got our cross braces, we've got our holding arms, like that. We got our casters, on the one side, got our twisty turny thingy, got our hydraulic jacks, our beams. All right, we're pretty good. We got a pretty good inventory of what all we got here. So, okay, so unfortunately I can't really take an inventory of how many of what nuts, bolts, washers, etc. that I'm going to need, at least not at this point. So what I've done is kind of laid them all out here by size and mated them up together. And in some cases, let's see, I got an extra one of those, and I got another handful of these and one extra of those. But I really don't know if they're extras or not. So don't chuck them, you know, hang on to them. But these little small bolts here, they're the ones that they'll use for putting the casters on. We pretty much know that. And then I've got everything else matched up so that the nuts and the bolts go together. And we'll just keep watching the video and figuring it out. So the first step, he said, is to put the casters on. And 2 of the 6 casters are locking casters. And they recommend that you put them on one end of the rotisserie assembly. All right, so what I've done is I've set me up a couple of sawhorses here with some 2x8s with a gap in the middle. That allows this T-bar to lay flat because of the thing sticking out here. And it just makes it a whole lot more comfortable and easy for you to work with. And I'm going to go ahead and put my 2 locking casters. You can tell they're the locking caster because they got the little wheel lock thingy here. And I'll go ahead and put those on this first piece. Both of these T-bars are the same, so you don't have to worry about which one's one end or the other. And then I've grabbed 12 of those little bitty short bolts, and one a flat washer and a lock washer to go with it. So we'll get 4 of these. And we'll get 4 of these. And we'll get 4 of these. Right. Then what we'll do, we'll set that bad boy on there like that. And your lock washer goes on first, then your flat washer. So you should look just like that with your lock washer first, then your flat washer. And you want to do that on all 4 corners of this caster. These holes are threaded, but those holes also are painted. So if any of them give you too much fuss, then you may need to run a tap down through to clean them up. Because that paint, the thickness of that paint is not factored in to the diameter of that hole. So it'll make your bolt hard to go in. And in some cases, you may not even be able to start the bolt. So just be aware of that. And these are metric, so you would have to have a metric tap to clean them up. Of course, I don't show you all this on the video. You're not going to be able to get a socket down around this caster. So you're going to have to finish these off by hand with an open-end wrench, because even a box-end wrench isn't going to get in there. All right, so I finally got all 3 casters on here, but I ended up having to grind a little bit of clearance here, which I don't think is going to affect it, but all right. So my next obstacle, this caster is correct in all but one important detail. The base plate doesn't fit the bolt pattern. You know, the base plate on this one's like almost 4 inches by, 4.5 roughly. And the actual caster, so this one, which is the right size, is roughly like 3 3/8 by 4. And I just I called them. They're going to send new casters, but I got that on there so I can get it together for the purpose of this video. But they're probably going to ship it UPS ground, and it'll be here in 5 days, so I ain't got time to leave this all laid out here like this. So we'll get it together. All right, now the next bolts we're going to need are these guys. Now we're going to bolt the uprights on each end, and we will need 4 of these to do one side. And of course the nuts, lock washers, and washers. Alrighty. Now, both of these uprights are the same, so it doesn't matter which one you use. And set her down. And then drop your 4 bolts through. Now we don't want to tighten these up exactly yet because we still got our braces to put on here. So I'm going to get those, and there's be a little trick with those too, because they have, the top one takes a different size bolt. So now we're going to put a vertical support in here, and we're going to use 2 more of those same bolts we used here. They're roughly 4 3/4 inches. That's tricky when you do the top end, because in your kit you've got 2 bolts that are a little bit longer. This one's like 5 1/8. You need that one to go through here. That accommodates your extra thickness here. So we'll get those puppies on here. And again, we don't want to tighten everything up just yet, because we want to get everything bolted in first. Then we'll draw everything up. All right, now to tighten all these bolts up that are in the kit, you're going to need a 15/16 wrench and impact socket, or 24 millimeter, depending on which way you swing, standard or metric. All right, on to the next step. One of the things they tell you in the video, they highly recommend that you tie the 2 together with a bar, and that's so that when you go put the heavy stuff on the top here, it doesn't tip back on you. Which I don't think it would, but that's a good idea for safety anyway, so we're going to do that. And that'll do for the moment. Wow, starting to look like a rotisserie, ain't it? All right, so you got 4 of these diameter bolts left. 2 of them are these, which are roughly about 4 inches. And then this one is about 2 7/8 or 2 15/16, something like that. Now, where these guys are going to go is the bigger one, the 4-inch, is going to go on the bottom right there to hold the hydraulic jack in, and then the shorter one will end up in the top on the plate, the part that slides up and down for your rotisserie. So I'm going to get me one of these and go over here and get one of these hydraulic jacks mounted. They're a little stout, so now I would decide which way you want to mount these as to which side you want your jack handle to face, either this side or that side. Obviously it doesn't really matter, but if, like my shop, you know, my lift is on the left side of the shop, so chances are I'm going to be working on the right side. So that's how I'm going to set my jack up here. Lean it up again there like so. Snug that puppy up. And you know, it doesn't matter. If you don't like it, you can change it. Really easy. All right, that was easy. Now on to the next step. All right, next thing we're going to do, they call this the winch, okay? And basically what this is this is going to be the twisty-turny thingy that you crank to rotate your rotisserie, or rotate what you have on the rotisserie. Not all rotisseries come with that. This is one of the reasons why I bought this one, because I like having, even if the rotisserie is balanced, you should be able to move it and it stays and all that good stuff. I still like the little extra bit of control I get with this. Now, what we're going to do with this is these bolts from your kit, okay, are going to go in these 4 corners to hold this winch on to this piece here that slides down over the T-post. Now, you want to make sure you get it right, because the way I'm doing it here, he did it a little differently in the video on the floor, but I'm old and I don't like sitting on the floor, kneeling on the floors. I might not get back up again, but this part here, all right, this is where the top of the hydraulic jack is going to go. So I have it upside down. It's going to be the other way around when we put it on the rotisserie. Then you want this part right here, okay, in line with this part right here. Okay, that's important because that's needed for strength, because your load is going to try to twist this way when you imagine it right side up. So now, you know, put your flat washer on here. And your lock washer. And your nut. And do that for the other 3. Oops, forgot my washer. We'll be screwing up here, Mikey. All right, now to tighten these bolts up, you're going to need a 3/4 inch socket, or 19 millimeter, and a 3/4 inch wrench, or 19 millimeter. then you're going to need to mount this piece to what they refer to as the cylinder end of the winch. Now, this only goes on one of two ways because it's a rectangular bolt pattern. So make sure you get that right. Again, same thing, bolt and washer, and then lock, washer, and nut on the back side. Now comes the fun part. Remember me telling you this was heavy? Well, it's heavier now with all this stuff on it. Now, amongst your other bolts that you have left, you're going to have these 4 ginormous bolts, okay? And what I'm going to do to make this a little less catastrophic for my back, I'm going to run one of them through the T-stand, so this thing has something to stop on when it goes down onto the stand. Really just a matter of safety. When I say this joker's heavy, I ain't lying. But don't hurt yourself. I'm going to run the hydraulic jack up here and get it to lift it up or let it down where I can get the through bolt through here. Now, remember that other odd-sized bolt I was telling you about? This is it. And this is where it's going to go. And pick her up just a wee bit. And I can take that big bolt out. And there we go. Okay, then the other side. This part, not nearly as heavy. All right. Easy peasy. Now, one thing you may want to do is run this back screw down here just a little bit, because that'll catch into a groove in here and prevent this from sliding out as you're trying to mount it on here. All right. So I can see right away my first MacGyver's Workshop modification I'm going to make to this rotisserie, and that is a little pocket or tube that'll hold these handles here on each end, because I don't want to go hunting all over the shop looking for these things. Y'all listening, Derek Weaver? Pay attention. That'd be a good little cool thing that make your rotisserie this much better than the other guys. right, so we got two ginormous bolts left. Okay, and where they're gonna go is on this piece here, which is gonna slot into here and into the other trunnion on the other side. So what we're gonna have to do first is run this around to 90 degrees. And again, you're always going to want the long side here is going to be always facing down. So we're going to do that. We're going to make sure that these 4 holes right here are facing this way so that the adjusting the balancing rods can mount here. Now, it's a good idea to have your gigantic bolt with you so you can do that. Like so. All right. What I'm going to do, I'm actually going to push this further in. You'll see why in a second. Because now we are going to mount our balancing rod. Start threading that in here like so. We'll get these in there. And then you've got these. Focus. You got these 4 fellows right here, these bolts. They're a socket head, Allen head. All right, this is a metric. It's a 6 millimeter. If you try and use a standard on here, you're going to round it out. Now, when you're tightening these things, don't break your wrench. Go ahead and hold these, and then tighten on the nut side. Otherwise, you're going to bend your wrench and break it. It'll help to have either a small ratchet you can get it in there, or a dog bone wrench. If you're curious what a dog bone wrench is, that's a dog bone wrench. It's offset. And you get right in there behind that and allow you to tighten this up. Get some meat on it. This may or may not be tight on your kit when you get it. So what you want to do is you want to tighten the thing down to where it's seated on these bearings, okay, and then run it up so there's very little free play, and then using the same 6 millimeter wrench, tighten this collar up to lock it on that balancing rod. You don't want that spinning down on you when you're trying to adjust this thing. You can raise or lower this like so. balance whatever load you have on here. Ideally, it should spin freely without being heavy on one side or the other. It's especially important that you balance the load properly on this type because this has the winch on it. And you may not necessarily be aware of how out of balance your load might be. But you will notice when you go to winch it up or spin it around on the heavy side, that winch will get hard to turn. And you don't want that. You want it, your load balanced as best as you can be. So when you're cranking on this handle, you're feeling the same resistance all the way around. We're just going to repeat the same process on this side, okay? So we'll get our T-bar in there, and remember, you want to keep those 4 bolt holes facing out this way, and then get you a bolt put in there to hold it. Now my stuff will lock this in place at 90 degrees just to make it a little bit easier. All right. Now the last little bit we're going to want to put on there are these. And you want to be careful for any little, they call that a burr in the manufacturing industry. And their quality control will probably miss that. But if you're not careful, I'll give you a nasty cut. And just snug them on there like so. All right. All right, and then all your bits that are left here, like these guys, they go on here like so. In whatever orientation you need, these are called body adapters, to, you know, get whatever you're wanting to mount on this rotisserie on the rotisserie. So that's probably not going to fit everything out there, but that'll fit most of it. Then you got your door bars, you put them across the door hole. You don't want to ever leave the doors on a body when you've got it on the rotisserie, but you do want to put those bars in there, keep the body from doing that. So that's pretty much it, really. You know, it wasn't as catastrophic as I thought it was to put together. You know, all in all, you know, yeah, this is a good value. I'm happy with it. You know, they acknowledged, you know, the mistake, and, you know, I'm gonna guess 50% of that is just my luck, because if there's a possibility of me getting something that's cheesed up, I will. I kind of live under Murphy's Law. But but you know, they're gonna make good on it, so you know, I'm okay with it. I mean, this is a pretty damn good rotisserie for $1,200, and you know, that's free shipping and all the adapters and the door bars. You know, that's you know, a lot of the other guys, they charge you a lot extra for that stuff. So you know, this is still not a bad deal. You know, am I a little disappointed? Sure I was, but you know what? I'll get over it, because you know, all in all, you know, this kind of stuff here, you know, it happens, and it's not going to prevent me from doing business with them again. I mean, you know, I'm tickled to death with my lift, and you know, I'm sure I'll be tickled to death with this too. So anyway, thank you for watching, and if you like all the stuff we put up here, please subscribe. And again, you know, if you're needing different types of shop equipment, give Derek Weaver a look. You know, they're definitely worth looking at. You know, I've had my 10,000 pound lift here in my shop, and I can guarantee you I've had pretty close to its rated weight on it, and it doesn't blink an eye. And had any leaks, you know, I wore the switch out, but hey, that's a consumable item, that's gonna happen. But you know, been real happy with it. You know, like I said, I'm sure I'm gonna be happy with this. So give them a look-see if you need stuff. They carry all kind of shop equipment, and they're usually a good bit less than anybody else in the market. So anyhow, again, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and you can feel free to comment. Click the little bell icon there to be notified when I post a new video up. And you know, you can also email me at MacGyversWorkshop@gmail.com, and I'll you know, I answer all the emails. I'll get to them. Sometimes it might take me a while because I do have a day job, but I get to it and answer you. So see you later.